Before I begin this story, I have a small request. Please like the video and leave a kind comment. My name is Shakir. I'm around 35 years old. I live in a small village in Sindh called Butagath. My life has always been connected to farming. My father was a farmer too. And he didn't just leave me land. He taught me patience, hard work, and a deep love for the soil. The land in Sindh is fertile, but water has always been scarce. We farmers are always chasing water, the way a lover runs after his beloved. The canal water comes once or twice a week, and that too at night. So staying awake at night has become a part of life. I have 2 acres of land where I grow cotton and wheat. I burn under the sun all day and stay awake at night waiting for water. My wife Zahida is a simple woman. We have 2 kids. A son, Ali, who studies in a madrasa, and a daughter, Noshan, who always comes with me to the fields to play. Nothing ever really changes in our life. The same morning sun. The same tired evenings. The same long wait every night. But this simple life gives us peace. Right in the middle of our fields, there's an old peepal tree. My grandfather used to say no one should sit under that tree, especially at night. I used to laugh and think that elders just say these things to scare us. But that night, when I went to water the fields, something happened that wiped the smile right off my face. Life in my village, Bithag Goth, is like a quiet poem. There's no rush of time here. No noise. No fast-paced system like the city. Here, when the sun rises, every tree, every leaf, every rooftop seems to come alive with its light. And when evening falls, the whole village sinks into a calm sleep, as if all the tiredness of the day has been laid to rest in the lap of night. I wake up before far. First, I hear the call to prayer. Then I do wudu and offer namaz. This is my favorite time of the day. No noise. No one else awake. Just the clucking of hens and the distant creak of a donkey cart somewhere far away. After that, Zahida makes tea for me. Sometimes she brings fresh butter and cornbread along with it. Ali grabs his school bag and heads off to the madrasa, while Noshan stands by the door holding my slippers, because she knows I'm about to leave for the fields, and she'll be coming along. My land is close to my heart. Going there feels like I'm going to meet my own children. Every crop I raise like my own kids. I water them. I feed them fertilizer. I talk to them. People often laugh when they see me talking to the crops. But I tell them these crops listen. They even respond. It's just that you don't know how to hear them. Near the fields, there's a small tube well. My grandfather had it dug himself. He used to tell a story about how, when the tube well was being dug, a strange scream came from underground, right before the water emerged. Like something beneath the earth was in pain. Since then, the villagers believe that place is special. But I always laughed it off and moved on. Though in my grandfather's eyes, that story always felt real. Every Friday, I go to the village market. It's part of my weekly routine. There are just a few shops. One sells fritters. One has groceries. And one belongs to the blacksmith. He fixes broken rakes, small pipes, and tractor cages. The elders sit there and talk about old times. Stories of prison, stories of rain, or memories of a lost love. In the evening, when I return from the fields, Zahida is already back from fetching water at the well. The kids are covered in mud from playing all day. And I sit in the courtyard, tired but at peace, sipping my tea. But that peace doesn't last forever. And not every night is like the one before. Some nights come quietly, but shake the heart all the way until morning. One such night was waiting for me. A night that would change everything. My thoughts. My peace. My world. It seemed like any other night. But something was different. I've never paid much attention to strange feelings. But that night my heart... I was restless for no reason. Zahida told me, after dinner, just rest. The water will come late tonight. I nodded and lay down on the charpai in the courtyard. But sleep was nowhere near. The air was completely still. Usually, a cool breeze blows from the fields. The peepal tree leaves rustle softly. Frogs croak. Sometimes you hear dogs barking in the distance. But that night, there was a strange silence, as if everything had stopped. After a long while, around 11 o'clock, I got up and went towards the fields. I carried a lantern in one hand and a water container on my shoulder. The moon was out, but its light was faint and pale. The moonlight on the ground felt empty and lonely, like every shadow was trying to say something. On the way, I felt like I wasn't alone. I looked back once or twice, but there was nothing. I could hear my footsteps clearly, but it felt like someone was walking behind me too, like a shadow. But when I turned around, the shadow vanished. I told myself, Shakir, it's night. You're sleepy. It's just imagination. I quickened my pace. When I reached near the fields, I saw the peepal tree in the distance. There is always darkness under that tree, like the light is afraid to stay there. My grandfather's words came to mind again. I shook my head and opened the water tap, turned on the motor, and the water started flowing into the fields. I sat in my spot and after a while switched off the lantern to save oil. My eyes started to close in the darkness. There was silence. A deep silence heavier than any scream. Suddenly, I felt something move under the peepal tree. At first, I thought it was a goat or some animal. But whatever it was standing upright. I squeezed my eyes shut and looked carefully. For a few moments, I saw nothing. Then it moved again. A shadow shaped like a human, but so black it stood out even in the dark. The air around it seemed frozen. My heart started pounding faster. I lit the lantern, but the shadow was gone. There was nothing on the ground. There were no footprints. No marks of any steps. I switched off the motor and looked around. Silence everywhere. But now there was a pressure in the air, like the whole atmosphere wanted to scream. Then I heard a voice. Right behind me, someone quietly called out, Shakir. I stood frozen. The voice was like a whisper carried by the wind. But it was real. I turned around, but there was nothing there. Still on the ground next to my shadow, there was another shadow. The shadow behind me didn't move or speak, just stood there. It was as if the ground had frozen. Even though my lantern light fell on it, the face remained hidden, as if the light was stolen before it could reveal anything. I felt life draining from my body. My hands started shaking. The lantern trembled, the light flickered, and the shadow stood perfectly still. Suddenly, it took a step forward. The ground seemed to sigh. Yes, it really felt like the earth beneath me whispered something. Then the voice came again, clearer, colder, heavier. I stepped back and tried to run. But my feet sank into the mud as if the ground was holding me back. As if it wanted me to see everything. To absorb it all. To understand what had been hidden for years. Then the shadow turned slowly toward the peepal tree and melted into it. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. It was absorbed into the trunk like the tree was breathing. Like its belly had swollen to swallow it whole. I tried to scream, but the sound got stuck in my throat. The lantern slipped from my hand and went out. Darkness spread again. But this wasn't the usual darkness of the night sky. It was something heavier, darker, terrifying. Minutes or hours passed. I don't know. I just sat on the ground, gasping for breath. I was sweating as if it was pouring rain. Then suddenly, the water motor started running by itself. Water flowed onto the soil. But this time, it was a strange color. Black, thick, and foul-smelling. And from it came sounds. As if something was drowning in the water. As if it was saying, "This land belongs to us now." Those words echoed in my ears. This land belongs to us, and it was soaked in blood. I stood there, helpless. Then I remembered what my grandfather had said. How, before the tube well was dug, a scream came from beneath the earth. Was that scream someone's life? Was the water I had been using all these years not just water? My feet moved on their own toward the place where the water was flowing. I leaned over the edge and what I saw changed my whole world. Inside the water was a face. A human face with wide open eyes staring at me, begging for help. Then another face. Then a third. It was like many souls were trapped in that water, as if the land had swallowed them whole. I screamed, fell to the ground, and ran back to the village. When Zahida opened the door and saw me, she screamed. My clothes were covered in mud, my eyes red, my lips cracked. I couldn't say anything. I only said, "That water isn't water. It's alive." The next day, at Zahida's insistence, the village Malvi and some elders held a Quran recitation at that place. They tried to cut down the peepal tree. But whoever swung the axe, their hand would tremble and they would pull back. Even today, crops grow on that land. Water flows there. But I don't go there anymore. I sold the land. But often at night, the dreams come back. Of those shadowy faces and that voice. This land belongs to us, and it's soaked in blood. This is the story I lived through, and maybe I'll never be able to forget it till the day I die. If you ever see a peepal tree at the edge of some village in sin that scares you more than a shadow, stop and pause. Some shadows don't come from darkness, they come from the past. And the past is never buried.